So it's official. Daniel Dubois versus Joyce is set for November 28th. And the great news is they've taken it off pay-per-view. And Bob Arum has been ranting and raving about Sky's pay-per-views, and I'll get onto that in a different video. But for now, I'm going to give you some quotes from Frank Warren. He said, quote, "This is about keeping boxing alive and relevant at a tough time and doing something for the fans. And we have moved heaven and earth to put this on as a BT Sports subscription fight night instead. With boxing still being behind closed doors and struggling back to its feet post-lockdown, I wanted to give something of a gift to British boxing fans. Dubois versus Joyce is the best fight on the British boxing calendar, and I want this to be something as many people as possible can enjoy. It's a bonus that the added exposure gained from the fight will really help the boxers as they move forward with their careers. Above all, this is about making sure that the fans are looked after, and this fight will be available to BT Sport subscribers. Queensbury and BT Sport are looking forward to delivering a huge night of boxing, so let's make sure the eyes of the country and the world are on British boxing come November 28th. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to BT Sport for being willing to make this happen. I sound like a broken record, I'm sure, but sometimes you've got to put the sport and the fans first. Queensbury gets that, and BT Sport gets that. For the fans, it's what it's all about," end quote. This can only be a good thing. As Frank Warren said, it's great exposure for both fighters, and the fight is on. As far as Frank Warren's sentiments, he's doing it all for the fans and what have you. Do I buy that? Absolutely not. If he really cared that much about the fans in the first place, then why put it on pay-per-view originally? You know, he's acting like, oh yeah, we need to give back to the fans in these tough times. Right now, pay-per-view is not as viable as it was before these tough times. So if pay-per-view was still viable now, then I'm sure Frank Warren will be doing it. But Joyce and Daniel Dubois are simply not proven ticket sellers or pay-per-view sellers. Neither one of them has been on pay-per-view. So as far as I can tell, this is a decision by BT, and I guess Frank Warren must have had something to do with it, whereby their BT, that is, are shelling out the purse fees for both these fighters. You see, that's the other model. You either have a television company shell out the rights fees, okay, or the purse fees, or you go pay-per-view where the television company doesn't put out as much money, and you're really banking on what pay-per-view sales are going to be in terms of paying the fighters. And it became pretty apparent that Frank Warren didn't believe with the restrictions it would be possible to pay the fighters what they want to get. And that's the reason that he's looked for an alternative to pay-per-view. You know, he was looking to push it back maybe to next year. He said he would if they couldn't get fans in the arena. But, you know, that has now been replaced by this, which is much better for all of us, irrespective of Frank Warren's dubious claims about his motivation for doing what he's done here. It's still a good thing for us. And it's a good thing for the fighters. Rather than being locked behind the paywall, they get the maximum exposure on BT Sport. I think it's great. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. It's set for November 28th. Looks like it's going to be a good winter for boxing. Who's going to win this one? Will it be Joyce or Daniel Dubois?